Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to Changing Steps from a Concept to the Concert. The concept came to my mind in Manchester, where in 2024 I recorded my Allegro in a minor. I thought of composing music moving freely from one genre to another, and while in Manchester the vision was vague, later, after my return to Montreal, it took a precise form. 4 chapters, each in different genre and time: Baroque, jazz, romantic, and contemporary. Next was answering the question, what smallest symphonic configuration could play such music? The answer was string quintet plus flute. Violins could play any solo, romantic or jazzy, plus harmonies. Viola, with its special colors, could play tunes that would push the sound forward, and when doubled by cello, created a feeling of soaring. Cello, being the most versatile of them all, could go in pair with violins in upper register or with contrabass in lower register. Contrabass, with its harmonic and rhythmic abilities, was the very foundation of the whole music, with a particular role of walking, swinging bass. In jazz chapter. Finally, flute, one of the smartest instruments, which on one hand sounds very different from strings, but on another merges with them ideally. So I needed 6 individual instrumentalists, being able to play with equal ease disciplined Baroque, swinging jazz, sweet romantic tunes, and fast dynamic contemporary piece. So I began my searches. I got responses from orchestras from Sofia, Buenos Aires, Berlin, Cape Town, or Manchester. However, requesting individual instrumentalists from within unknown orchestras was difficult, despite of the will from the management to facilitate the choice. In one case, I was even informed that instrumentalists are ultimately chosen by the orchestra, and I had no right to choose them, despite the fact that I knew them all. While this approach would be understandable for a piece for an orchestra, it was absolutely unacceptable for a piece for 6 musicians playing music composed with each of them in mind. And here they are: Laurent, Manuel, Mariana, Maria, Arthur, and William. 6 graduates from Université de Montreal, Department of Music. The modern sextet. This became the point when already composed music began its life. What you see behind me is the final score, after several modifications resulting from being able to work directly with the musicians. Believe me, nothing can replace the direct work with the musicians who play your music. On an informative note, composing and further preparing partitions for conductor and parts for the musician is a very labor-intensive job. Unless you are Mozart. We worked part after part, discussed, tried, repeated, and time was passing way too fast. When I got home, I went directly to drawing board to insert modifications so the ensemble would get the new versions before the next rehearsal. The second rehearsal was easier. We were understanding each other much better. Music was already played and known. We began mastering it. Just have a look at it yourself. general rehearsal was supposed to also take place in a concert hall, but our flutist, Mariana, caught a nasty flu, and after rescheduling, everything happened in a small classroom. What seemed to be an obstacle actually turned to a very productive session with the flair of a family reunion. Just watch us! What you need is warming, so play it again. The final step of the work with the sextet was the recording session. 1 hour, several takes, video recording scenarios, full concentration. I have conducted the first few takes to be absolutely sure all goes as intended. However, for the final take, the one I decided to be later published, I withdrew behind cameras, knowing well that filming a conductor waving button in front of 120-piece orchestra may be exciting, but the same guy in front of 6 musicians is an unnerving distraction. After all the fun came the heavy work of mixing and mastering the music, cutting the video and making it all into the concert. It took me a month in my studio, but believe me, this part is the least exciting. Difficult, important, crucial, but interesting only for the guys from the trade. For you, my dear fans, it would be a great bore. For those of you who did not listen to the full concert yet, it will be presented now. Ciao.